this on? So Doug's going to turn it on for me. He knew it was a bad sermon, so he turns it off ahead of time. All right, there we go. Thank you. By the way, I see the Kirchhoffs back here. So how many of you are for the Kirchhoff reunion? What a lovely way to spend it, right here. Well, anyway, I did see America this weekend. In fact, we all did, wherever you were. You open your eyes and there's America. And each one of us, I'm sure, sees America with all kinds of different visions. And I got up in the morning and I was ready to spend another electrifying day. And I know he's going to get mad at me, but I want to just thank Quentin for allowing me and Peggy to go with him to the annual furry convention. Thank you. That's the last thing I'll say about it. Anyway, the hotel where we were staying always has a complimentary breakfast, so I got up early and I went into where the breakfast was and read my book and had a cup of coffee. And a gentleman comes over to me to welcome me, and he cleans the table, he gets me some more coffee, and I say thank you, and I give him a $5 bill. He smiles, and now we're best friends. And I get ready to leave, and I say, I'll be back in a few minutes with my family. And he says, my name is Belasami. And he says, I'm an American citizen. I was born in Africa. I'm a new hire in the hotel. And I really, really like my job. And he said, sometime today, there's those evaluation forms on the counter where you talk about where you served well, did people treat you nice? He said, I would really appreciate it if you would fill that out and maybe say something about me. And so a little later on in the day, I got the form and I wrote on the form, just watching Belasami work made my day better. Well, the next day, oh my gosh, I thought he was gonna adopt me, you know. There was a skip in his steps and a big smile and the pride, and it's Thursday, the 4th of July, and I thought to myself, this is what the 4th of July is all about. So early yesterday, it's time to check out. And I went to the desk and I asked if I can borrow one of those luggage racks, and I'd bring it back. And this big guy comes up to me and he says, no problem, let me get you one. In fact, I'll come up and get your luggage for you, put it on the rack, put it in your car or your truck. And I said, no, I can do it myself. So please allow me. And I said, you just want a big tip, don't you? And he said, that wouldn't hurt. If you had to draw a picture of a guy who was born and worked in Pittsburgh all of his life, you would draw Jason. Big, muscles, a beard, a low raspy voice, loves the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he looked like a linebacker. And then as we're waiting for my truck to come up, he talks to me and Peggy, and he says, I'm married, I got 3 kids, and I said, well, how long have you been doing this? And he says, 18 years. And he said, it's a good hard living, And the wife and I, we've raising our 3 kids, and I got a son who's 15 years old, and I'm putting him through travel hockey. Do you mind if I show you this picture? And so he puts the picture on the phone. He's a big guy, very good looking. And he said, 18 years of hauling luggage and waiting on people, I could write a book. And I said, I've been preaching at the same church for 45 years. I could write a book. And he said, Reverend, let's go for it. To me, the 4th of July is very personal. It's you. It's our friends from the VFW. It's Belasami, the skip in his steps. It's Jason, his pride and what he does and his family. It's the freedom every day for 45 years to come here and unlock the door to the church. It's moments with you. It's the power of love. It's the quiet courage that each one of you has to face every day. It's David's flag. It's a guy in Hawaii who wants to be a part of our service today. We are an incredibly powerful country. And there are times, and especially in those words that Joe had to read, there are times when we've had to go to war and probably may have to do it again. And lives are lost. And some of you have personally faced the loss of lives of a loved one in combat. But the most important thing that we have in America is the power of the Spirit that we stand for. The power of goodness and the power of kindness. The power of everyday moments that grace our path. And we take those moments every day and we just give each moment the very best that we can. And you see, Jesus teaches us that. Jesus is not the possession of the Christian church. Jesus teaches humanity about honor and valor and courage, the very words on our bracelet. And Jesus teaches us exactly where God lives. God lives in the very depths of our humanity. God lives in the way we walk every day. God lives in the choices we make and the journeys we take. I'd like to close on just a kind of a personal note. Each one of us has a unique journey. And whether you're taking your first communion, whether you're 5 years old going on 10, 15 years old going on 25, whether you're 40 or 50 or 80 or 90, and sometimes in your journey something happens in your life that changes the very fabric of who you are and affects everything that you do. And I know there are some things that I say maybe way too often, but today the words come alive because it is what it is. Right now, it is what it is. We can't change this moment. This is where we are. And as we go through this journey called life, no matter how old or young we are, we can kind of look back at what we've done. We have our dreams for the future. And each one of us can say, it'll never be the same. But it will be okay. It will be okay because we believe in a God who loves us and nourishes us and strengthens us. And it will be okay because we have each other. We should probably lean on each other a bit more. But it is what it is. It'll never be the same, but it's going to be okay. And then I think of the word courage. And there's that little saying that says, courage does not always roar. Courage is not always loud and obvious. Courage is often that very quiet voice at the end of the day that says, I will try again tomorrow. That's what courage is. And all of us got it. It's right in here. And we have a country that honors and cherishes that honor and valor and courage. On the very first Sunday in 1974 was the first time I preached in this church. I was 25 years old. My God. And I was too young. The church made it clear to the powers that be in 1974, we need somebody with experience. Experience means money. The church had no money, so they got me at the age of 25. On the other end of the spectrum, recently one of my non-church buddies had a conversation with one of his neighbors. And they were looking for a church home. And they asked my buddy, we're looking for a church, where do you think we should go? And he said, I think you should try All Saints. I know the minister there, he seems like a good guy, he's a friend of mine. All Saints is a good place. And they said, well, what's the minister like? And he said, well, why don't you go and find out? And they said, well, how old is he? And he said, 70. And they went, oh my gosh, we don't want somebody that old. It's amazing. In as little as 45 years, you can go from too young to being too old. And then there's all that gunk in the middle. We live in a country where being too old or too young does not have to define us. In America, we've had 18-year-olds who have died for their country so that we can be free today. In America, we have people well into their 90s that still teach us in life what's important and what's not. And at the center of the goodness we talk about is a 33-year-old carpenter who died on the cross. Honor and valor and courage. It's not about how much or how many. It's about who we are in here. Amen. Lenny, God bless the USA.